Welcome back for hour number 2 of the show. We call it The Drive at 5. The Drive brought to you by Dean's Detailing, the leader in auto detailing for over 55 years. You can renew your vehicle's appearance, protect your auto investment, look good and feel good in a clean, shiny car, and book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. Mark Paulette and Ernie Clark back with you for the second hour of today's show. And we're going to get it going by heading right over to the Heroes Hotline. Waiting to chat with us is Chris Hatfield from SoxProspects.com. Chris, Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball right now. 9-game win streak that they're putting to the test tomorrow against Tampa Bay for 2. Has this changed your perspective at all on what this team is capable of in the 26th season?
Oh, I mean, it has to, right? I mean, they needed to do something like this just to get back into the conversation, and I don't think you can see what they've done and deny it, right? Like, it's certainly, something that has to make you feel better about the team. It is certainly something that has to, be something that you think about heading into the trade deadline here. Now, do you have to be a little bit realistic? Do you want to sell the farm for this club? Probably not, because look, while this team has gone 14-2 and it's, heading into the break, they're still not above 500, right? If I had told you in March, hey, this team's going to head into the break with a 14-2 run, I'm sure you, like me, would have assumed that they're heading into the break in first place in the division, right? Not slightly under 500 still and a half game back of the second wild card. The fact that the American League stinks this year is doing a lot of work. That said, I'm also a big believer in the whole Herm Edwards, you play to win the games thing. And, hey, if you've got a shot to make the playoffs, especially when you've got a team that's pitching as well as this one is right now, you got to at least give them a shot. So if they don't fall completely apart over the next week or so here, I think they deserve to, get some kind of reinforcements. Maybe not, again, selling the farm, but depending on what's out there, I think you got to go and do something to try and win, because those flags do fly forever,
Yeah, indeed. And you mentioned they're close to 500, as close as they've been for quite a while. And a lot of the reason of that has been the work of prospects. And I think about the starting pitcher with Tolley early and now Bennett. I don't know, could you have anticipated this level of contribution from those three guys and the prospect grouping in general to at least the recent good times for the Red Sox?
To some degree, Peyton Tolley was our number one prospect until he graduated. That he had this in him is not terribly surprising. Connolly early showed us at the end of last year that he was capable of being a quality major league starting pitcher. I don't think what he's done is terribly surprising. A little surprised about how good Jake Bennett has been since he's come up. I do want to see a little bit bigger sample size there, but one thing with those three guys that you've got to keep in mind if you're the Red Sox and if you're a fan watching the Red Sox down the stretch, Peyton Tolley is within 10 innings of his career high in innings pitched in a season. Jake Bennett is within 10 innings of his career high in innings pitched in a season. Connolly Early is within 30 innings of his career high for innings pitched in a season. I don't know that it's fair to those three to assume they're going to be able to keep this up at this level of workload for the rest of the year. And the Red Sox are going to have to keep that in mind in watching these guys' workloads. You got to wonder, when they're looking at what they might do with a Sonny Gray, if you want to give this team a chance to win, you got to keep that in mind and figure out a way to, do you skip starts? Do you start piggybacking? Do you cut starts short? Do you try and get these guys to work on an extra day of rest? I kind of like what they did with Peyton Tolley in that last game heading into the break, having Brian Bayo ready to come in right behind them and give length so that you could take Peyton Tolley out a little early. I think they're going to have to really monitor those three guys, not even down the stretch, starting right now, and keeping an eye on their workloads if they want to continue having them be as productive as they have been.
Yeah, that's honestly something I hadn't really thought of, but does that maybe change the math at all? Is we haven't heard the Red Sox going after starting pitching to this point, because you would think, why would they need that? That's the biggest strength that is getting them to this point. But with so much of it being done by young arms, could that be a path that Craig Breslow has to address here in the next few weeks?
I don't know that they need to go acquire anything, and that depends in large part on Ranger Suarez and Connolly Early and whether they're going to come off of the injured list, right around when they're able to. Right, if those guys are going to be healthy, I think that they're in pretty good shape. Take the three guys we've been talking about: Suarez, Sonny Gray, and Patrick Sandoval, whatever you're going to get out of him. If that gives you six quality MLB starters, at some point, hopefully you get Garrett Crochet back. I know you don't want to necessarily count on him at this point, but I think the starting pitching, I don't know that I would add to it. I do think what it changes is whether, when I'm looking at this team, you kind of look at that fabled half and half approach of do they both buy and sell? Do you see what you can get for Sonny Gray on an expiring contract? Do you see what you can get for Aroldis Chapman on a 2-year deal? And while also, adding at other places, because in theory you have Garrett Whitlock is probably capable of being a major league closer, right? You have other starting pitchers. It makes me more reticent to trade a Sonny Gray, because if you do that and you lose one guy, all of a sudden you have to start either a Brian Bayo or, do a bullpen game with Eduardo Rivera like they did heading into the break. The starting pitching depth has been tested. It's held up. There's not a lot more behind what they have, so I wouldn't really want to test trading away anyone, is I think what it changes.
Top prospect in the system right now, Franklin Arias, plays for the Portland Sea Dogs, not too far from here, 20-year-old shortstop, hitting .325 with 18 home runs, 48 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases. I've been thinking about this for the last few days. How far away is he from Boston? And if he is at the point in the near future where he is ready to come to Boston, does that make Marcelo Meyer perhaps a trade chip? Or has he still got to do something to prove to everybody in the major leagues that he has some staying power?
I think there's a lot of really good thoughts in that question. First of all, as far as how close he is, the Red Sox under Craig Breslow in word and in deed have shown that they consider AAA to just be the major league taxi squad. We're kind of back to that Dave Dombrowski. AAA is where the MLB taxi squad is, and not necessarily a development level. I think the second you see him promoted to AAA, that means Arias is on the radar for the majors. Look at Eduardo Rivera, who was called up to the majors literally the day after he was promoted from Portland to Worcester, right? I think Arias is going to go to Worcester immediately after the trade deadline. He's been ready for that promotion for a while. I think they're trying to keep him out of the glare of the lights of being one stop away from Boston as long as possible. And I think the thing you have to look at is that this is a playoff contending team that is starting Sung-Chae Cheng at shortstop right now. I think part of it might just be what they do at the deadline. I think shortstop is a place where they might look to add. You see a Jeremy Pena out on the market. We've heard a lot of rumblings about Francisco Lindor, which that could be a whole other topic. If shortstop is a place where they add, I think that you can comfortably leave Arias in AAA or the minors the rest of the year. If they don't add at shortstop, I think that Arias could potentially come up as soon as August or September, really, if they think they need it and they think he's a better option than what they have. Now, as far as what that means for Marcelo Meyer, first of all, the fact that Meyer is on the injured list does kind of make him a tough chip to trade at the deadline right now. I don't know that he's a guy that you're going to be trading at the top of his value. I'd want him to come back and rebuild a little bit of that value first. Is he off the table? No, but I think this past offseason, the Red Sox showed they weren't willing to include Meyer in a trade for Ketel Marte. If they weren't willing to do that in the offseason, I don't know what's going to be available at the deadline for them to move Meyer. In the offseason, that might be a whole other conversation. But that said, they also don't really have anyone at second base at the moment. So, you could easily roll with an Arias Meyer middle infield at some point if you wanted to. So I don't think they necessarily have to trade one or the other. It is an interesting conversation. I don't think it's one that's going to get resolved at this trade deadline.
We're talking with Chris Hatfield from SoxProspects.com. I want to bring together a couple of points that you made over the course of this conversation. You brought up Jeremy Pena's name right there. You've also said a couple of times, as we all know, right, is it really worth selling the farm for this year's team? Let's talk Jeremy Pena, because he's really the biggest name out there that's been attached to the Red Sox in some sense, right? What would that package have to look like, and is it worth it in your mind?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing that I like with Pena is he's not a guy with, a ton of control left where you're trading for all of that time of control. And I don't think this is a team that needs a shortstop with long-term control for the reasons we were literally just talking about, right? There's a couple of contenders in-house for that spot. It's something you're trying to shore up for 2026 potentially. And I like Pena's fit. Hits from the right side. hitting well, shores up a position that's probably the weakest one on the roster as we sit here today. As far as what that would take, it's interesting because teams want close to major league ready talent, and the Red Sox, outside of Franklin Arias, don't necessarily have a ton of it. Most of their talent right now is in high A Greenville. I look at our rankings, and our top 10, 5 of our top 10 are guys who are in Greenville. In right-hander Kyson Witherspoon, right fielder Justin Gonzalez, center fielder Endy Azakar, and then infielder Henry Godbout, right-hander Juan Valera. Godbout and Valera are hurt. They're off the table probably for trades, but is Witherspoon a guy you might be willing to trade? Yeah, but our team's going to want a guy that's an A-ball. Teams want guys in Double-A. I think you're going to have a lot of teams asking about Portland right-hander Anthony Ianson. He was a third-rounder in last year's draft who's become about a top 50-ish prospect in the game, really had a rapid rise in the Red Sox pitching program. I think he's a guy a lot of teams are going to ask about, knowing that Arias is probably not a guy they're going to move. I don't think he's untradeable. I just think for what they're going to pick up at the deadline, he's not a player they're going to want to move. I think that kind of Anthony Ianson, Kyson Witherspoon, Gonzalez, Azakar area might be one where you see them potentially moving guys. I think they might try and trade from sort of a glut of position players prospects on that Greenville roster. There's also infielder Yoel Cespedes, who's had a very good year. I could see them trying to include him in conversations. They've got a couple of catchers, Gerardo Rodriguez and Luke Heyman at Greenville as well. They've got kind of a very strong lineup at that level that I could see them being willing to deal from, both in order to sell from a place of depth and the hopes that teams will be interested in those guys. But like I just said, teams want guys that are closer to the majors. They want Double-A and higher. You look at the guys they traded last year. It was a couple of Portland outfielders that went to the Dodgers and the Dustin May trade. And I'm sorry if I'm making anyone twitch by bringing that one up.
James Tibbs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Zach Earhart. So that's where teams want guys from, and I think that's going to be part of the negotiation for the Red Sox, is maybe getting teams interested in that Greenville level of prospect that they've got a lot of at the moment.
What did it tell you that after a couple of years or more of drafting Southeastern Conference pitchers, older pitchers that are, you would assume, ready to go, like Peyton Tolley, that they went more with position players in this year's draft, at least in the upper rounds?
It's interesting. I don't know how much of that is in response to the strength of the system, because right now our top 10 is fairly balanced, but after that is where the depth really starts to trend very heavily towards the pitching side. This is an organization that's done a really good job developing pitchers and getting them, to rise up a couple of levels in terms of projection from what they are. I think it in part could be a response to that. I think part of it was also that they had a plan for day one of the draft, and I don't think taking Jake Schaffner, a shortstop out of the University of North Carolina, with their first pick was plan A or maybe even plan B. I think plans A or maybe even B got taken, and they pivoted to a draft under slot and pushed some money towards the later rounds, particularly rounds 9 and 10 strategy. And in fact, that being the strategy, the amateur scouting director, Jake Brummel, told the media that's exactly what they did, was that they took savings from day one and pushed it to the end of, that around 9 and 10 area. The fact that a lot of them are position players is very interesting to me. I think it's in part maybe addressing some of the areas where they're weak, but that said, these are guys that do check a lot of boxes that they like. The hitters are guys, especially on day one, who make a lot of contact, who they could teach maybe some bat speed. They have things that they're comfortable teaching guys, and that's where a couple of these guys really could stand to add. And so I think that's why they're guys they targeted. So we'll have to wait and see. They did make a run on college arms with rounds 5 through 8 of day 2 of the draft. So I think that's not something they've abandoned completely by any stretch, but I think they just, at some point there's only so many innings to go around. Might as well, take the opportunity to bring in some bats and maybe strengthen that part of the farm system. And that's certainly what they at least tried to do, whether or not it was plan A.
He's Chris Hatfield from SoxProspects.com. Well, of course, I guess the massive elephant in the room that we haven't addressed is you got 10 at Fenway coming out of the break, where they are 10 games under 500. So if this team can't win in their home ballpark, basically the last 15 minutes becomes moot point, right, Chris? Because you're not trading for anything at that point.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't even think it's the 14 games. I think it's probably the next week. Look, you've got a real test with the Tampa Bay Rays with the first 3 games out of the break. I will go ahead and say right now, looking like the only good team in the American League. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's fair.
I say 4 games. Sorry, it's 4 games in 3 days. I forgot about the doubleheader. So that's going to be a real test. If you can split those, I think you're giving Craig Breslow, the ammunition to go out and add to this team, because then it eases up. You've got the Orioles, you've got the Blue Jays, you've got the Athletics on the road in that AAA park in Sacramento before you have to go to Dodger Stadium. If you can make it through the Rays series, things line up really well for this team to make to improve that home record, which does need to improve, and show that they're for real. As much as I have the David Duchovny, I want to believe poster on my wall right now for this team. The fact of the matter is your middle infield right now is Sung-Chae Cheng and Anthony Siegler, right? The lineup, while it has performed well lately and while some guys are really playing well, it feels a little bit like it's being held together with Scotch tape. There are places they can improve. There are bats out there they could potentially, look at. There's, Jeremy Pena seems like a nice fit catcher. There are catchers available, Ryan Jeffers, Hunter Goodman. Some guys out there they could go out and get to add to that lineup at a position they don't really have an established player. If you look at the lineup, it's center field, right field, first base, and maybe third are the only places where I'm like, yeah, they're probably good there. I don't know that they're going to move on from Jarren Duran and left, but if you can acquire a left fielder and push Duran to DH, maybe you do that. I don't know, but there are a lot of ways they can go, a lot of places they can add. I think the first 4 games are key. As long as they don't go out and get absolutely trucked by the Rays, I think they're looking like they're in really good shape with who they've got coming after that.
Keep the momentum alive. Well, Chris, we appreciate the time you took for us today. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and let's see. Maybe we're checking in with you in a couple of weeks to see who they traded away for some bigger names.
We'll see. I mean, look, they're going to probably be active one way or another. I think the question is just which direction. So it's going to be a very interesting week and a half to see where they wind up.
That it will be. Thanks, Chris.
Of course. Take care, guys.
Chris Hatfield right there, joining us from SoxProspects.com on the Heroes Hotline. The drive brought to you by Fat Panda Boba Tea and Market on Harlow Street in Bangor. They're next to Goslin's Bakery. Sip fresh boba, explore snacks, ramen, and their tasty Jamaican patties. You can also visit their brewer location on Wilson Street next to Hannaford. And we're brought to you by Casella. Good pay, good people, good life. Find your place at thepowerofhardwork.com. Hey, coming up on the other side of the break, it is time for Drive On. Your chance to win hundreds in prizes, double the prizes today. Up for grabs, we have $20 in gift cards to Heroes. We have 4 pairs of movie passes to Bangor Mall Cinemas. We have an express interior detail from Dean's Detailing and a pair of Maine football season tickets. So dial us up, 992-9029, if you want to play Drive On. It's coming up in the next segment, 992-9029. Sat through the break thinking, oh boy, is Drive On going to get stood up here? Now, granted, it was a little longer break. We're debuting some ESPN-style clocks here for the rest of the summer with some lengthier breaks in between segments, but it gives us a little more time to ramble and not feel like we're falling behind the next segment in front of us. And then, the second that open fired off, the phone line started lighting up. So let's go over to line 1 to find out who our first contestant is. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Rob.
Rob, where are you checking in from today?
Calling from Hartland.
Calling from Hartland. All right, Rob in Hartland, the game is yours. Now, let's go over to line 2 to see who will be Rob's lifeline should he choose to use them. Oh, well, that line's dead, but we got someone on line 3. Who's joining us on line 3 as Rob's lifeline?
Burton from Dedham.
Burton from Dedham. All right, Burton, you are in there. Should he need to call upon you, you got a chance to be a winner here as well. Or if Rob gets that first question incorrect, you get to swoop in and take it over. Rob, back to you, though. You ready to get going here?
Sure.
Question number 1 for you. Who currently leads Major League Baseball in batting average at this here very moment? Is it Yordan Alvarez, Luis Ariz, Yandy Diaz, or Otto Lopez? You're on the clock.
I'm going to guess Ariz.
Going to guess Ariz. You want to lock that in?
Yes.
All right, let's lock in Luis. Wouldn't mind seeing him in a Red Sox uniform in 3 weeks' time.
Second baseman.
He is second right now in the batting race. That was a good guess by you, Rob, because a .330 hitter, you would think in 2026, is leading the league in average. However, not the case. So we say goodbye to Rob in Hartland. And Burton, just like that, the game is yours.
Let's go.
All right, Burton. So you know the question. You know who it's not. Do you know who it is? Who currently leads Major League Baseball in batting average? Yordan Alvarez, Luis Arraez, maybe or maybe not, Yandy Diaz, or Otto Lopez?
Otto Lopez.
You want to lock in Mr. Otto?
Let's go for it.
Can I hear you say his name one more time? I just like the way that I heard Lopez come out of your mouth.
Otto Lopez.
There we go.
Very good.
Otto Lopez of the Marlins. I think he's hitting like 335 or 7 or 8.
Is he a shortstop too?
Yeah. Yep. Good hitting short. They got a couple of high average guys on that Marlins team that's turning some heads in the NL East this year. There you go, Burton. Just like that, you got yourself $20 in gift cards to Heroes. If you didn't hear the prizes initially that you're playing for, coming up next, it's 4 movie passes to Bangor Mall Cinemas. You're also playing for an express interior detail at Dean's Detailing and a pair of Maine football season tickets for this fall. Do you want to take the $20 to Heroes and walk away, or do you want to keep driving on?
Is it all baseball questions?
It is not. I'll tell you then.
Drive on.
Okay. Didn't even have to tell him anything. He's driving on. Driving on to question number 2 for you, Burton. I don't know what I'm doing to you here. So, again, I'm just the messenger and the person that comes up with these questions and creates the game. So
you are actually doing it to him.
Forget that latter part. Which country has won the most World Cups? Which country has won the most World Cups? Germany, Italy, Brazil, or Argentina? Time to put on your soccer hat, Burton.
I think I've heard it about 10 times during the World Cup.
Oh, you've been locked in. Did I hear Brazil in there?
Yes, sir.
Burton, you've been locked in watching some World Cup action?
Oh, it's been awesome.
There we go.
Mr. Soccer.
Mr. Soccer. He knows that Brazil has lifted that trophy 5 times, and you have now added 4 movie passes to your haul to go along with $20 to Heroes. A little date night, movie night action right there, halfway home. And, I mean, we'll either get a lifeline for you if you need one, or we'll slash a couple of answers. You do get a lifeline of some sort. You're not just on your own the rest of the way. But now that you're halfway home, Burton, what are we doing? Taking the prizes and walking or driving?
Driving.
Burton knows how to play this game. Driving on to question number 3. The Red Sox achieved their longest winning streak in franchise history during the spring of 1946. How many games did they win in a row? 13, 15, 18, or 20? What is the franchise record win streak? You're on the clock.
We'll guess 18.
Guessing 18. You want to lock that in?
What's the lifeline?
Well, at this point, it would be Ernie Clark, but he shook his head when I was saying the question, so I think he's of no help. I would be slashing 2 of the answers off the board for you.
Let's do that.
Let's slash. I don't know that I have a slash sound effect ready to go here. I just have the phone number, or the phone call, so hang on with me as I'm dialing up, and I am slashing off 13 and 20. 13 and 20. Your gut said 18. See what I did there? I left it in there.
16, the other one?
15 is the other.
15.
15 and 18 are your 2 remaining options.
You're trying to fool me. I'm going to do 15.
I'm trying to fool you. Are we locking in 15?
Yeah.
Burton doesn't like it. But he should. Burton, look at that last minute flip from 18 to 15. That is how many games. He thought it was like reverse psychology there. I was just kind of holding his hand, trying to help him out. I was slashing answer. Granted, I couldn't slash the one he gave us. That'd be too obvious.
I didn't think 15 was long enough.
You wouldn't think so. Neither did I when I looked it up this morning.
Mr. Baseball knows.
Mr. Soccer, Mr. Baseball, Burton. You've got 3 of them out of your way. You've now spent the lifeline, though. So you got $20 to Heroes. You got 4 movie passes to Bangor Mall Cinemas. You have an express interior detail from Dean's Detailing. You've got a pair of Maine football season tickets waiting for you if you can answer the next question, or are you walking away with everything you have?
I'm walking.
He is walking. Burton is playing the game and not letting the game play him. Well, there you go, Burton.
Very
Congratulations on your efforts today.
Are you going to give me the question?
Yeah, you want to hear the question now, don't you, to see if you would have got those season tickets. What golfer has won the most Open championships? The Open, round 1 just finished up. What golfer has the most Open championship titles? Harry Vardon, Jack Nicklaus, Old Tom Morris, or Tiger Woods?
I say Tiger.
It was Harry Vardon, so good on you, Burton, for walking away.
Nice
There
job.
we go. Burton is leaving us with $20 to Heroes, 4 movie passes to Bangor Mall Cinemas, and an express interior detail from Dean's Detailing. I just need you to hang on the line for a couple of minutes, and I'll get your information on the other side of a sports center and the weather.
You guys do an awesome job. Thank you very much.
Hey, it was you doing an awesome job this
congratulations,
afternoon, my
Burton.
friend. Congrats to Burton. That does it for Drive On in this segment here on the show. We're brought to you in part by Dairy Queen. Check out their Bangor location, the new DQ Breakfast Collection. You can enjoy a Cinnamon Toast Crunch Dip Cone, Fruity Pebbles Shake, a Choco Frosted Donut Blizzard Treat, whether it's breakfast time or not, at 668 Broadway in Bangor. Happy tastes good. And in Old Town, you can try the DQ $7 chicken strip meal deal. 100% white meat, seasoned chicken strips, full-size fries, a drink, and a DQ sundae, all for just $7. Find that one at 613 Stillwater Avenue in Old Town. Sports Center, a weather forecast, and then we are back on the other side of the break with the Drive Poll. Friend of the show, Chris Cotillo, right there, appearing today on WEEI, talking about the first 4 out of the break that begin with a doubleheader tomorrow against the Tampa Bay Rays at Fenway Park. You can hear the action right here on the ticket. Pre-game coverage begins at 12:35. First pitch of Game 1 at 1:35. It'll be Jake Bennett in that contest going against Griffin Jacks. I've yet to see any pitching announced for Game 2 as of yet, at least before the show began. It was still TBD in that department, and of course, there's still that rule, I believe, in Major League Baseball. When you have a doubleheader scheduled, you can expand the roster to 27. So who knows? Maybe that guy isn't even on the roster and they go with a bullpen game or something like it. But a tough test, no doubt, against the Rays coming right out of the break. The best team in the American League at the top of your division at a park that you are 10 games under 500 at this season. 17-27 is their home record because, of course, this win streak all happened on the road. The Drive brought to you by Casella. Good pay, good people, good life. Find your place at powerofhardwork.com. Also brought to you by Tim's Plumbing. Mark your calendar. Saturday, August 8th at Ricky Craven Speedway roars to life. It's the Tim's Plumbing 100 featuring the Darlings Pro Stock Series and $4,000 to the winner. One of the biggest nights of the season. Bring the family out and experience the excitement with Tim's Plumbing 100 Saturday, August 8th. Getting to today's Drive poll, basically asking, what do you want the Sox to do? Make a deal, stand pat, don't care because you've already kind of kicked the can as far as it'll go down the road on this season, and you're just waiting for training camp in 9 days.
I think I want him to go get somebody.
That's what the majority is saying here. Let's see. 68% say buy. I want to win now, baby.
The American League is so bad that, I don't know, all you got to do is make the playoffs, and who knows? Look what the Texas Rangers did a couple years ago.
Yep, got all the way there.
You know, why not? I mean, now, what do you got to give up? I mean, what do you got to give up to get somebody?
That's the thing. Like, I don't know.
Doesn't do any good to give up Sonny Gray.
No, not at this
Or
point.
Aroldis Chapman. Well, maybe more Aroldis Chapman than Sonny Gray, I would say.
Yeah, certainly based on the case that Chris Hatfield laid out for us when he joined us at the beginning of the hour, that 60% of your rotation is running up against their innings,
Right.
their career high for innings total.
And we'll finally see if Garrett Whitlock is everything that led us to be attracted to him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been, I don't know, still iffy as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know that I want, though, like a buy and sell deadline. I want you to pick a side if you're going to do it. Don't try to get cute and strategic about it. Like, if Luis Arraez is out there, who's a first-time free agent at the end of the year, so you're not buying out any sort of future years that the guy has. It's purely a rental. He is pretty much a one-dimensional baseball player in the fact that you put him at the top of the lineup and he slaps it all around the park, but there's not power that comes with it. There's not great fielding or speed. if you could get him for, just a top 10 prospect and change, yeah, go out there and do it.
Yeah, it might cost you a little more than that just because he's not a 275 hitter. He's
the only guy in the game that gets 200 hits every
year. He's a guy
year.
that's going to be on base twice a night and giving you a chance to score runs when scoring runs has been an issue for the better part of the season. But I'd still take him. I mean, put him at second base and leave him there.
Zach Neto was a name we were talking about yesterday. Angels shortstop, a guy with good power, good speed on the base paths. Doesn't hit for a high average, but who does these days? His OBP is about 335. And if he gives you 25 homers and 30 steals as your leadoff hitter, I'll take that.
Well, especially where you're not getting that production
from Meyer
out of anybody else, really, other than Contreras, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's nobody close to that.
No, Duran has, where's he at, like 14?
Yeah,
so
13 and 44 was the last I saw.
He'll probably get to 20, but beyond that, I mean, Abreu's at 10. He had a couple before he went into the break,
Well,
maybe
he had
11.
3 the first week, for crying out loud. So he's really not. I mean, Durbin's been the second most prolific home run hitter over the last month.
Yeah, 8 in like 40 games.
Yeah. And of course with Duran, I don't think he's over 200, is he?
No, he dipped back under it real quick once he got over. But I mean, the underlying numbers are there. Like we have a comment on the poll on Facebook that says, I don't want anything to happen. Why aren't they a contender? The pitching is as good as anybody out there. That's the truth. When they score 4 runs a game, they're on a 115 win pace. So if you can just get me one guy to put in the middle of the lineup or one guy to put at the top of the lineup to set up the people behind him, you just need like 1 to 1.5 more runs on average, and you're the best damn team in this depressed American League.
What were we asking for during the offseason?
Pete Alonso instead of Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, one more bat.
And wouldn't that money be so much better allocated in the lineup than Ranger Suarez has been fantastic. He was an all-star. He's also been on the IL twice. You have a ton of arms that you can use to get by with. That money needed to go to the lineup.
I will say this in fairness to Red Sox management is that we didn't know, how they were going to use their young pitchers in terms of bringing them up or keeping them down to gain service time and all that kind of stuff, and how good they would be. We had no clue about Jake Bennett.
No.
None.
He was somewhat touted coming into the year, but you thought he was like a AAA guy off to the future.
I never heard of him. I mean, and again, I don't follow it as closely as most people, but I never heard of him. So, I mean, the fact that he's doing what he's doing, it was like 4-3 in the ERA around 3.
Yep. He's
doing fine. Early, I mean, I'm amazed at how many decisions he's got, which tells me he's getting, at least 5 or 6 innings most starts. He's 7-5, I think. And then Tolley he was the one I had the highest expectations for, but at the same time, he was the guy that kind of needed
the most seasoning.
Yeah, he needed to develop a little bit deeper arsenal of pitching, and I guess he's in the process of doing that, and then throwing 98 miles an hour. So, I mean, there was no way to know that they were going to, all 3 of those guys were going to hit.
No, which has
literally
helped for, Johan Oviedo, who was in the starting rotation to begin the year, not being there. You forget that guy exists. Or Garrett Crochet really hasn't been there the entire year, and yet I would still stack their rotation up against most that are out there based on the results.
Giving up the fewest runs in the American League, right?
It's like a 1.93 ERA since the middle of June.
Yeah.
It's over a month.
That's a month, yeah.
5-6 weeks we're going on.
Yeah, I mean, they basically giving up one, if they can score 3 runs, they win. I mean, really, that's been the case for the last 5 or 6 weeks, and as a result, they've won 14 out of 16, 17 out of 22.
Yeah.
So that's a month's worth of baseball right there, and they're 17-5, and not only made up games, but they've moved up ahead of teams, and were they tied with the Twins now for that? Just out of the half a game out of the playoffs.
I believe it's Minnesota and Seattle and Minnesota tied for the spot.
Okay,
and the Red Sox are half a
game
behind
there.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, I mean, long way they've come.
One of them's in between, but they've leapt over like 4 teams to this point.
Yeah, I don't know what I want a bat. I'm just not sure where you place it. I mean, I want a bat that's in the lineup every day.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. Just give me a bat, because the state of this lineup is the bar is low. You can, like Chris Hatfield said, when you're filling out that lineup card on a nightly basis, you know who's in right field, you know who's in center field, At this point, you know who's at first base, you know who's at third base, and beyond that, it's a little bit of a question. So there's a lot of room for improvement.
Pena would be a rental.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine they would sign him.
Arias would be
He would
a
also
rental.
be one.
Okay, and that's most of the guys that are out there. And the other part of it is there aren't that many teams
No,
that are in the
target.
selling market.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I read half a dozen at the most out of, 30?
Yep.
It's just not because everybody's in the
4.5
hunt.
games out.
That's all.
Feeling like they're in the illusion of contention.
And they can't. Most teams won't be able to, make a move in that situation. Well, their fan base, whether it's good or bad, will be bailing on them.
The Drive brought to you by Novus Auto Glass. Give them a call today at 945-6688 to get your windshield repaired or replaced. Also brought to you by Acadia Federal Credit Union. Their newest location now open on Wilson Street in Brewer, serving Maine since 1963 with branches in Bangor, Brewer, and Aroostook County. Learn more at acadiafcu.org. One more break. Back with Buzzer Beaters right after this. Time for Buzzer Beaters. No show tomorrow. We will be back on Monday. We'll have actual sports in this country to talk about again at that point. Won't that be nice? The Red Sox, one more note on them. 14 games under 500 on June 24th. The only team in baseball history to make the playoffs after being 14 or more games under 500 on June 24th or later of a season. The 1914 did happen in Boston, but it was the other franchise, the Boston Braves.
1914, huh? So you're telling me there's a chance.
It's happened before. It was just 112 years ago.
No matter what you think of this year's Red Sox team, the 2027 schedule for Major League Baseball was announced this afternoon.
Was it really?
One game on Wednesday, March 24th. That'll be on Netflix, by the way. And then the full traditional season opening day is March the 25th, Thursday. Red Sox are at Seattle.
Really?
They open the season with 4 games at Seattle, 3 games at Houston before they play their home opener on Thursday, April the 1st against the Redlegs of Cincinnati.
Keeping it early, aren't they, in
They
baseball?
really are. They're kind of moving it up a week.
They are.
Over time.
Just getting back into March, making sure you're not playing any November World Series games, I guess.
We'll see how many games are played in the snow and at the start of the season.
And that will do it for us. Have a good weekend. Everybody out there listening, don't forget about the morning roast. Also off tomorrow, but back Monday at 6 a.m. Have a good one.